guys, happy 4th of July, and today I thought it would be a great day to go over a little bit of the Declaration of Independence. As you know, as the colonies had formed in the United States, the British were still trying to claim that America was theirs, and in just a few years earlier we had the Boston Tea Party in December 16th, 1773. And with the culmination of different events, it came to July 4th, 1776, where this document, the Declaration of Independence, was drafted to basically cut ties from England and declare our independence. It reads, "The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve a political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station in which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation." Now, it goes on. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, derived their just powers from the consent of the governed. That wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and their happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient cause, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuse and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, invices a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient suffrage of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their form of system of government. The history of this present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injury and usurpations, all having their direct object an establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to the candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governments to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend them. He has refused to pass other laws for their combination of large districts of people, unless those people would have relinquished the right to the representation in the legislature, a right inestimable in them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representation houses repeatedly, for opposing with mainly firmness an invasion of the right of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such disillusions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasion, form without, and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither, and raising the conditions of the new appropriation of the lands. This is pretty intense, and it keeps going on. I'm just amazed. He has made judges dependent of his will alone for the tenure of their officers and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He is affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with other subjects just to jurisdictions foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, given his assent to their acts of pretended legislation, for the quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off the trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for deriving us in many cases of the benefits of trials to jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring provinces, established therein an arbitrary government, and underlining its boundaries as so to render it at once an example and fit instruction for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamental the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislator and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war on us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with the circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely propelled in the most barbarous ages and total unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall them by their hand. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and he has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages, who through rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sex, and conditions. Guys, this is just part of it. There's 3 more paragraphs here, but I wanted you to hear the Declaration of Independence. Please read the rest here and understand that the men of these colonies banded together to say no more to these constraints that they had on this land. And therefore, it says, we therefore, the representations of the United States of America in General Congress, assemble, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions due in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these United States colonies and the right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that the political connection between them of the state of Great Britain ought to be totally dissolved, and that the free and independent states They have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may have the right to do. And for the support of this declaration, with firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each of our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Listen to this, and let me repeat that again, I didn't read it well. And on the protection of divine providence, meaning God, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. So that's just a bit of the 4th of July Declaration of Independence. It's well to remember the old paths and remember why this country became this country after all. Happy 4th of July.